to Port Hope in 1973. And if you look at it, today's date, middle of April, I came here in the middle of April 1973, so that's 40 years.
40 years, wow.
And I came to that conclusion yesterday when I looked at a few files. What I remember it was a small town, and I hadn't had much experience with small towns. I was a little bit apprehensive because of the fact that I came in as postmaster here, and I was the first non-native postmaster that Port Hope had. However, I was welcomed well. And particularly met two Rotarians within the first week or so, and they had me at a meeting on the second week that I was in Port Hope. So it was just a lovely way to meet a number of people and settle in.
That's great.
And feel welcome. It was nice. It was a good staff, and got better as we went along. I was not only the postmaster here, but I had what I call a staff post office, and I had a district from just this side of Bowmanville to the Gage Creek and up to Highway 7.
Wow.
Down there. Smaller post offices in between to keep me busy. And the biggest difference was when I was in Toronto, and I was enjoying my work at that point. I would go out to do audits on these small post offices, and in those days we were a low rank on employees, and we were taking anybody we could get off the street practically. However, when I went out to do audits, in the back of my mind always was, who am I going to put in jail today? When I came down here in this lovely area of North Cumberland Hills, and driving through the hills to the post office was nice and relaxing. And my biggest question in my mind when I went out was, I wonder what we're having with our coffee this morning. And that was the difference between the two areas of organization. Yeah, it was quite a time. Busy. However, it came my turn on the angle in setting up a committee under the Provincial Act. It had to be non-political and not a part of the local or the city or the town. And Bob Sanderson, who had been a member and was on council, suggested that they use the Rotary Club for the disaster committee because it was across of various occupations. As no one, and that was what the province was looking for. The first committee, the overall chair of the disaster committee was Tony Beecham, and Al D'Agostino. Tony was the president that year, and Al D'Agostino was the president-elect. And I fell into the job because I was next in line after Al to be president. We split it up immediately in the committees. The overall committee was with Tony and Al D'Agostino and Mike Perry, who's vice principal at the high school. Then it was my turn, and I got the job of raising the funds. Exciting, yes, but I was so greatly surprised that when I started asking for help, no one said no. The answer
great.
usually was, how much, where do you want it, and when?
Mhm.
And it was just a pleasure to work with these people. On that overall committee, I chaired the fund. Ted Lacey would be on that. Marv Lawson was our treasurer. Bud Lynch kept us straight and accounted. Neil Wakely, the town clerk, was our contact with the town. Special mention, though, should go to Larry Hall, who was on the paper at that time. Mark Cavenday, Kay Weatherall, Lloyd Skinner, Jack Foote, and Gordon Kelly all worked diligently on that committee to raise funds in various capacities. We talk about the flood itself. There was damage to residential property, but not that much. The damage was to the retail area and the main street, and the library had some too, along Quigley Street.
Yeah.
We raised the funds and paid all we paid. The promise promises, for every dollar we raised, they would throw in $3.
Wow.
And at the end of our collection and spending, we did cover all our claims. When you look at it today, it doesn't sound quite as big as what it was then. Our total receipts were $688,000.
Wow.
Raised in about 8-10 weeks.
Jeez. And this is over 30 years ago, too.
Yeah, that's what I said. When you think back 30, that was a lot of money.
That's a staggering amount of money.
It is, yeah. So, and it came, I went on the chicken menus. I was out almost every night to some organization to receive a check for the, and my wife didn't like my jacket that I had at that time, and it's come out in the paper every day, and I'm wearing this jacket. I'll always remember that. It became spite after a while. I had to get my picture taken, this god-awful coat. And of course, Mary and I we came here, and the senior group of our family didn't have to come, but the youngest three had no choice. The fourth one landed with, we have 7. 5 girls, 2 boys.
Wow.
And the older ones were pretty much set and everything, and they did not come down to Port Hope. However, one did not very long later, and she's still here. The rest of them have scattered. It was a good spot. Mary was with Toronto Public Libraries, and never thought she'd get a job down here. Figured somebody had to die before she'd get a library job here.
Yeah.
However, I think it was only about 6 to 8 weeks when they called. She had gone down, and they called her, and she worked. And she loved her job here.
That's
Just
good.
absolutely loved it. She knew everybody, I didn't.